Hi, Zizaran here with another video, and this is going to be an in-depth video about my bear build. Honestly, a pretty simple build to play. It's good clear. I really like the clear on it, and Calamity obviously shoots down meteors everywhere. It's pretty tanky once you go Energy Shield, especially once you get the Soul Tether tank. Without Soul Tether, I was like full armor with Cloak of Flames, and I felt quite squishy to be honest, so I would say Soul Tether is pretty impactful for the build. And this is a build that just feels good from the start. It's not the fastest build, nor is it the best build. It is just like a fun bear build. You do have Rage and Glory Management, although I found it very easy just to pop some Battle Cry. And as you see, like with the echoing Battle Cry, it does like just keep going. Some skills, like Rampage, can be a little bit buggy. Sometimes they end when it feels like they shouldn't end. Other times, like now, like I've had so many times where I'm like running like that and it'll just, there it ended. So Rampage can be really frustrating, but they have made it a little bit better. Another downside to the build that's really confusing is the way attack speed works. Attack speed on both Rampage and Walking Calamity says that it's a huge damage boost. This is a bug, so attack speed doesn't change anything, but it actually like does a massive increase in damage per second. For leveling, I'll have a leveling planner up, and Bear is very good early game. I definitely do recommend it as a starter. I've had a blast with it. I've done all the content on it. And yeah, make sure you check out my max roll planner. I hope this slightly more detailed video helps everyone. And yeah, really happy how the bear turned out. Not sure what we're going to play next, but I'm just enjoying playing the bear for now. The more I think about it and the more I play with Oracle, I do like Shaman, and I think it's okay as a day one starter. I'm just becoming such a fan of Oracle. I don't even know if I would level a Shaman anymore. Like I said, it is extremely comfortable, and I do think some players will like Furious Wellspring. And like I said, Avatar evolution is like okay for tank. I think at this point, even leveling at Oracle is nice. If you're enjoying keeping up your rage with Oracle, I would recommend that. And if you find it's a lot of hassle, then do Furious Wellspring. And then, yeah, your first two Ascensies is Strategic Champion into Furious Wellspring, and then third and fourth is Avatar Evolution. I definitely do recommend Oracle though, the more I think about it. Remember, you can respec freely between these, you just have to rerun lab. If you have all 4 ascendancies, you have to do a new lab. Another thing that's really nice, not everybody knows about this, so I do want to mention it, you can just buy a carry from somebody. As soon as you've unlocked Trial of the Sekima, you can just pay somebody, I don't know what it is on TradeLink, 2 or 3 divines I think. And you can level with all 4 ascendancies. So at level 25, you get all 4. Plus 2 skill points if you're Oracle then.
I'm not ready yet.
Now, let's do some quick Oracle versus Shaman, pros versus cons. Shaman is a really comfy Ascendancy early. Once you have Furious Wellspring, it's just very easy to maintain your rage. After having played Oracle a little bit more, I'm probably more on the Oracle fan train. I think it is such an insane Ascendancy. So maybe even early, I would recommend going Oracle, because just with the Echoing Cry, it is so easy to maintain. However, Furious Wellspring does make it an insane no-brainer. You just regen. You're just always full almost. It does come at the cost that this is useless. You don't have a use for this at all. And Crown of Ice doesn't convert this to attack damage anyway, so Strategic Champion, a little bit useless. I'm also concerned that this might not work. It should, in theory, be awesome and really good mitigation, but I did feel infinitely squishier on Shaman than I did on Oracle, so a little confused. But this is what I did for leveling. I did this until level 94, and it was fine, and it was really comfy with Furious Wellspring. Oracle, I am all on the Oracle train. You get 2 extra skill points. You get Paths Not Taken, which opens up a lot of interesting skill points. The fact that you can take things for 1 point, so we get like obviously Blood Magic, not really much of a downside since I leech so much now. So you get Prism Guardian, Projectile Boulevard, Cold Coat, and Vengeful Fury, all for, well, 1 point for this and then 1 point for all of them. Oh, and In Your Face. So that alone is very cool. Lesser Harm, this is insane, especially against lightning enemies. Crit chance against you is unlucky too. It's very nice. It'll be like, did it crit or did it not crit? And if it rolls twice and say it's a monstrous 30% crit chance, very unlikely to crit you. And then Inevitable Critical Hits. This is the fact that you always crit. Now, there are a lot of spreadsheets and stuff that try to explain how this works, but the TLDR, after you get roughly 30% crit chance, you just want to max as much as you possibly can into crit multiplier. So I have 40 to 45 right now. And then we're just stacking as much crit damage as you can. So like jewels, everything, gloves, amulet, helmet. I don't really have good amulet or helmet, but yeah, you just stack that. It does make it a lot harder to run auras, so I'm only able to run like, I'm running Bark Skin and I'm running Herald of Ice. And Savage Fury is kind of bugged. I don't think it should be working, so Oracle also just scales a lot better. Crit is just such an insane way to scale. You have better annoyance. I went for Sundering. There is another good crit annoyance down here, Cooked. And this is something that's really good to use weapon swap points for, because the way weapon swap points work, and I'll do a quick intro to them. So you can see that here I have these 4 points on weapon swap 1. And then I'm using weapon swap 1 on, for example, Maul. Also, like this one is weapon swap 1, this one is weapon swap 2. Here, Sam would be weapon swap 1, and Walking Calamity and my Lunar Assault would be weapon swap 2. What that does is it uses your normal points. So let's say you have 1 skill point spare. Well, then you get to, if you're putting it on weapon swap points, you get 1 for that and 1 for that. So you're kind of getting, for those 24 extra points you have, double the amount of points. Not every build can use it, but they are very, very good. I do recommend using them, especially as you can right click here and this will basically use the same weapon for both. Obviously other builds will maybe have a curse staff or a sigil staff and do that, but yeah, so they are very good. And then you can see later here I'm using like skill duration nodes for my second set because my Calamity and my Lunar thing want skill effect duration, but that doesn't affect my Rampage or my Maul or Rend. Now, Soul Tether is a big part of my builds lately. So I have removed the stat that says you lose 5% max energy shield per second. You can see that it has none of that stat. It only has 60 energy shield, 30 life, excess life recovery is applied to energy shield, and 10% energy shield recovery rate. You can anoint this or take it. I found it was kind of worth to take it for me now because now I'm down here with the crit node. So this is an Oracle build now. This is not the Shaman, but the tech is the same. So either you can anoint this, you can use fast metabolism manually, or you can use Leech 3. All of these work. Now, there are inevitably people asking, Zizaran, how are you leeching? Like, how are you getting physical damage to leech? Are you only leeching with your Maul and your Rampage? No. Physical damage is extra on my weapon, and that's the last thing that happens. So that never gets converted by Calamity. And then whenever you're Oracle later, you also get 10 extra if it's here, so that's even more leech. So if I look at my Walking Calamity, on large meteors, it actually does up to 3.5 to 6,000 physical damage per large meteor, and the small ones to 1.3 to 2.4. So it's a substantial amount there of physical damage. So I'm noticing the leech is quite good. I'll talk a little bit about the skills too. I use Maul a lot. Ferocious Roar, I was using with Ancestral Cry. And if you have Ancestral Cry, I usually have it on mouse button 1. You can keep track of the glory generation on it. And honestly, it is a bit of a pain. But you know, I did find that worked. But Savage Fury is really nice. I pretty much just use it for bosses. But it gives you onslaught and more damage. So it is quite a big buff. I just pop it as an extra boss killer. Charge regulation I was using, and then obviously you're permanently generating endurance charges. I was using it pretty much just for that. I might go back to it in the future on the Oracle too, but at the moment I was just using it for a little bit more armor, and then it's also energy shield when you go hybrid. Walking Calamity, I had Ellie Armament, Prolonged Duration, Close Combat 2, Concentrated Area, and Life Leech 3. Now, there are a few support gems that I just didn't have access to that are good. There's whatever the Luff one is called. It's something about like damage that's extra chaos. That one looked really good. There is some Rigwald lineage gem. I wonder if it shows up here. Rigwald's Ferocity. Since this skill doesn't care about attack speed, you would put it in weapon set 2 and then have 30% more damage with no downside because attack speed doesn't matter for Walking Calamity. That would be a really big one. And then you have the Brachiotus Flow. That would also be pretty good. Then you don't want any like negative fire rest or fire pen or anything like that. If anything, you would want them to have more resist. So rolling plus 50% fire res on a map would be a damage buff, which is kind of cool. So that would be a very good support gem. Rampage, which I found myself using less and less because it just felt like it was sort of buggy. So I found myself using Ferocious Slam and Maul a lot more. Rampage is very good for damage for bosses though, so I was using it. Close combat, momentum, stomping ground, aftershock 2, and burgeon. Fury Slam, I've been using a decent amount now. Fist of War, heavy swing, conk area, rage forged, and stun 2. Quite enjoying using Fury Slam. Lunar Assault, and I do want to discuss this a little bit. This is important for both the Oracle and the Shaman. Let's explain a little bit about Lunar Assault and Bhatair's Vengeance. So obviously we're using this lineage support gem. It's level 65 and it's very nice. It's a lot of extra damage. And I'll explain how that works. So, boom. See, I get the Bhatair's Vengeance there by switching with that. Now, I do want to explain real quick, why do I not do that on Maul, like a lot of others do? I found that Bhatair's Vengeance works a lot better on Lunar Assault than it does on Maul. So it is, when you freeze a target, for each 1 rage, you and your allies gain 1% damage with extra cold. So currently, I can get 62 rage. So it's 62% of all my damage is extra cold. When you have Bhatair's Vengeance, you can use Prolonged Duration, and then you have Freeze and Cold Attunement. If you do this in Maul, you need the same gems, but you also need... I've seen that people use things like Embitter instead, so they get even more cold damage. Then I feel like I'm like using so many support gems on Maul that it doesn't really feel amazing as an actual clearing skill. Whereas here, I get to have like Freeze Build-Up, Skill Effectivation, and I don't even need it 6 linked. Do I even have quality on it? I don't even have quality on it. So I just slap a monster once or twice with it instead of like actively using it. And then my Maul becomes like a genuinely nice clearing ability. I actually use it quite a lot because I have the Tribal Fury. And yeah, I really enjoy it. There's the Herald of Ice tech. I'm trying it right now, but it's Herald of Ice with Urk Smelting, Armor Break 3, Armor Explosion, Magnified Area. I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting... I've tried grabbing Cold Coat now, and it is starting to make a difference, but it's just hard to have enough cold damage even with Lunar Assault and a lot of rage. But you can try both Herald of Ash and Herald of Ice and see which one you like for clearing. I think in PoE 2, more so than PoE 1, it's like, a lot of it's just like vibes, like what are you enjoying the most? It's not necessarily this is the correct way to play. I'll talk about my gear before I swapped. This is what I had at the end, and since I finally had a spiny talisman, I wanted to go crit. That's why I swapped. I tried high attack speed ones. Jade was my favorite for being Shaman because it's got so slow attack speed, but so high damage. So Jade was definitely the highest damage. Now I've switched to a spiny talisman, so this is crit. Like, I feel like I was mostly ending up around the 500 to 700 PDPS range, but slower ended up being a lot better, and you really notice that both on Rampage and Walking Calamity. The number you should look at is not the damage per second on these skills. You really need to look at the average damage per use, and that was not immediately apparent, but after like playing around with it, it's like that is where all the damage is. So look at that. Look at the average damage per use. That is how you have to theorycraft this skill. Rings, I was just sort of doing the best I could. A lot of my gear is sort of mediocre here. And obviously we'll attach this Maxwell thing. My boots are like the only thing that's nice. Living the Spirit was kind of interesting, just like never made me worry about mana. I did anoint this for a while with Living this because during any fast effect was always up. So I just got some attack speed for my maul and slams and then damage for everything. So that was useful. So that is pretty much the Shaman. I think it was a really good league starter. Some downsides. This one doesn't do anything. Even if you had a Crown of Ice, this doesn't do anything because Crown of Ice is increase in production, not more or less. So this, for this build, is pretty much always dead. You have a dead ascendancy point. And for my first ascendancy, it's sort of whatever. You can take Spirit, but either way, you do need Furious Wellspring later. I also don't necessarily feel, now that I've played, that Furious Wellspring is the best thing ever, but it is very comfortable. But I'd say, now that I've played Oracle, it's like it's so incredibly easy to have high uptime on Walking Calamity anyway. That is definitely, I would maybe recommend pivoting earlier than what I did. I was a little bit scared of getting rid of this node. But Furious Wellspring is really nice. It is cool to just like, especially if you get 50 to 80 mana regen, getting that fast rage regeneration is really nice. And then obviously you have Reactive Growth, 10% less daily damage taken, and the adaptations. And then these doubles them, plus have 15 Fizz as elemental. Considering how tanky I should feel with this, I'm wondering if something is broken here. Because obviously, you have the, on my build, I have the 75% reduction, from resistances, and then I had Cloak of Flame. I tried with Lightning Coil, and later I went Energy Shield, which ended up being infinitely tankier. But even when I had Cloak of Flame and Lightning Coil, which then when I'm getting hit by something, for most of the time I'm getting that additional 60% reduced fire or lightning, depending on which chest I was wearing. Plus I had like 230% of armor against Elemental, so I had like 90% armor against Elemental. 70% reduction from this, 75 from resist. I was still getting chunked by things, and I was just very confused. For how much investment I had into tank, I just felt like I should be a lot tankier than I was. Now that I'm hybrid armor ES with leech, I just feel so incredibly tanky by comparison. Really nice starter, and a really good selling point is you can swap to Oracle later, right? So you can start with this, then when you have crit gear, you can swap to Oracle. And we're going to talk about that next now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Oracle skill tree and what I've changed. This is not something I would sort of do over time. This is like a respec into this at level 90, in my opinion. A part of that is that you want like a lot more crit on gear, but I think it's also a lot more node hungry. I would say you probably want to be like 90 plus, because you do need a lot of skill points for this. But Oracle gives you a lot of cool things. So you're getting 2 more skill points, and you get to see a bunch of extra skills, skill tree stuff. And you're getting Entwined Realities, which we're using. I think that's even easier to show in-game because you get the circles. But you can basically put things here for free. Sadly, this is just out of range. This is honestly pretty cursed. But the nodes before are really good too. You're able to get like that for 1 point. There. Lord of the Wilds, I didn't think I was going to be taking, but then because I get to use a Malice Scepter, and as you can see, all I have here is, like, I don't count as an ally in my presence, so I don't get these. But I get the Malice. I will eventually be able to have a cool rune, I think. I just don't have one right now, SSF issues. And you need, like, at least 170 spirit, I believe. But I'm running Herald of Ice now, Bark Skin, and Malice. Now, Malice is good because it's critical weakness. Obviously, you're getting those, but then you're also getting enemy critical hit chance against you is unlucky, and damage of enemies hitting you is unlucky. If you don't know what lucky means, it's a roll will be done twice, and it'll take the lower. So let's say that, especially a lightning enemy, it was going to hit me for either 6,000 or 300, and that's a real scenario that could happen. It'll hit me for 300 instead, so it'll roll twice, and obviously lightning has such a large range. So honestly, really like this node. And if an enemy has 30% chance to crit, it'll be like, did it crit? Did it crit? And if one of those was a miss, it won't crit. So very big defensive node. Small ones are pretty good on all of these. And then this one, inevitable critical hits, is a little bit advanced, but everything will roll a crit until they succeed, and you lose 30 crit bonus. There's been a lot of posts like this where you see that even at like 30% critical, it's basically all about damage bonus. So people have been doing the math on a lot of this. Honestly, like I actually have quite a lot of crit, more than I thought I would do. I would say that I was, especially after going hybrid, I had to drop some damage from just being pure life, and I felt like I was a little bit low on damage. When I was doing like the max difficulty, they felt like fights. And I don't want that. I just want to mow through things. Now after switching like crit, it's like pretty much insting everything. After having changed to Oracle, I super recommend it. And this can scale more, right? Like I've just switched over. Some things that I could do to improve. I could have either crit bonus or actual crit chance instead of the intelligence here. I don't really want the onslaught either. Like there are really good suffixes that I would care about. Still using Soul Tether, so I still have the leech. I'm sitting at 2k life, 4k energy shield. So I go through the energy shield nodes here. I do want stuff like this, like area of effect and immobilization is good. This node is decent. We go through here. These are really good. Skill speed is okay for a lot of my skills. Just feels better. It's not necessarily the best thing ever. I do want a lot of armor and energy shield. So I've gone through here. I feel like these were quite worth. These are insane. Iron Slipper gives me so much armor because I have 300 energy shield on my boots. So this gives me then 900 armor. And the nodes before are good as well. So I actually have a decent amount of armor. When I'm in bear form, I have 11,620. And I'm bark skin, so by the time I'm losing energy shield, I get quite a lot more armor. Now I do have piercing claw on weapons at 2, sharpened claw on weapons at 1, crit for both. These were all quite good. As you can see, I've dropped these nodes here. I'm very tight on points. And I went through Sigil of Fire, Lightning, and Ice, and they're being procced all the time. Went through the crit nodes here. And because of taking Blood Magic, then I can take Prism Guardian for 1 point, Projectile Bulwark. In Your Face is on weapon set 1. Vengeful Fury is on both. Tribal Fury is on weapon set 1. If we go up here, I have Lord of the Wilds, and you need at least 160 or 162 spirits, something like that. I can't remember exactly. Make sure you don't take that. I don't know why I'd taken that by accident. Frozen Claw, Blood of the Wolf. This one doesn't really matter. We have no mana. Ancient Aegis is nice. Honestly, this is okay too, but nothing really lives enough to get 10% more damage. We go up here, and here I get Ancestral Bond for no downside. Then we're getting Endless Soaring on weapon set 2, Electrified Claw, Spirit of the Wyvern on weapon set 2. I'm getting Storm Charged, which I think is on both. And then I also have Dangerous Blossom on both. So that's the skill tree right now. We go down here. I have Roaring Cries. This is very important. Another thing that is important, I'm now using Ferocious Roar with no other cry, Raging Cry, and Echoing Cry. I really like the Echoing Cry. So just by doing this, it's incredibly easy for me to build my Walking Calamity. If I do a lot of walking in a map and I don't want to lose rage, I can use Blood of the Warrior. And while actively playing the map, especially while doing a Warcry, I usually don't even wait for 3 mid-map. I usually do 1 Warcry and hit a few monsters with them all, and I'm back to Walking Calamity. I was very surprised with how easy that was. So make sure you pick these nodes up. You're getting all the crit nodes here. Then I went down here, and that's because this is so expensive to anoint. I definitely could consider, if you have a perfect amulet and stuff, anointing this instead and maybe dropping a lot of this stuff. Not sure what I would take instead. Maybe I can get crit node somewhere else. Oh, and jewel slots are really good to go. I'm mostly looking for crit bonus and energy shield. But then since I was down here anyway, get the leech nodes, and getting the amount leeched and leech faster felt really good. My leech feels very impactful now. And then getting ignore pain is really nice, plus the max rage here. So I have 62 rage right now, which means that my Bhatair's Vengeance is giving me 62 as extra cold. So obviously, I'll leave you with a planner all of this too, so you can sort of look over and look at it at your own time. We're just trying to explain my thoughts behind everything of where we're currently at. Obviously, PoE 2 is still so fresh that all of this is not necessarily optimized. It is harder to optimize now as well because of Path of Building 2. Like the team there, they don't have enough data to make like a fully up-to-date version. So for the skills I was doing, like PoB is effectively useless. I can't really use it. Most things, like a lot of Rampage doesn't even calculate at all. So that was a frustrating experience. I hope that the team there get the data they need to make it as good as the PoB one is. So that's why I want to try to explain my thoughts behind everything too, so that people can go like, have you considered doing this instead? Because there were several upgrades I've gotten just by people saying stuff in chat. I think we can all make builds better together. So sorry that it does get a little bit more rambly because of that format, but it's sort of, I think it's a little bit inevitable for PoE 2, at least for me. So hopefully you guys are still enjoying it. On my gear, my helmet is definitely what needs to be replaced the most. A lot of my other stuff, my helmet and my left ring, I would like a new amulet too with crit related stuff, or just more energy shield.